Nice seeing everyone here. Today I'm going to be sharing my experience on building hyper-casual games with Flutter. Essentially, this will be like a speed run through the slides. This is not a workshop or anything like that, so just keep that in mind. But first, let me reintroduce myself. So I pretty much stole this slide from someone very well known in the Flutter community. My name is Raitis. I'm from Riga, Latvia. And I'm pretty much name buddies with Raichu, the Pokemon, because in Latvian, short for Raitis is Raicha, and it's almost the same as Raichu. And actually, some of my friends already call me Raichu. I know it's silly, but it is what it is. Today's agenda is pretty simple. I will share challenges I faced building hyper-casual games, my experience, give you some tips, and also I'll do my best to try and inspire you to make some of your own stuff, some of your own games. So, but before we get into all of that, let's take a look at what exactly is a hyper-casual game. By definition, a hyper-casual game is a game that is lightweight, that has simple mechanics, and with virtually no learning curve nor time restraints. And most of the time, these types of games are easy to play, free to play, and they are highly addictive. With that said, can a game still be considered hyper-casual if it has like a steeper learning curve or has time restraints? Absolutely, as long as the game itself and its mechanics stay relatively lightweight and simple. When talking about hyper-casual games, we can go as far as all the way back to Pac-Man and Tetris, but back in the day, they weren't as accessible as they are today. You first had to get a console you could play those games on. But a more recent predecessor on mobile devices is like Flappy Bird. And one could argue that back in 2013, Flappy Bird paved the way for all the games, all the hyper-casual games that we see and play today. When talking about hyper-casual games, you need to remember the principle of 3 S's. Simple, short, and satisfying. I would say that anything outside those 3 will likely make the game too complicated and potentially could result in abandonment. So players maybe will find it like too complex to return to, and yeah. Let's take a look at four main types of game mechanics. The first one is timing mechanic. This mechanic relies on user's precision and timing. Agility, not to be confused with timing, because this is all about hand-eye coordination and the ability to make quick decisions fast. Puzzle, just like any traditional puzzle game, a lot of logic is involved, and turn after turn, if the player keeps making mistakes, they pile up, and the gameplay becomes increasingly more difficult as you progress throughout the game. And swerve mechanics, the key is to avoid obstacles, keeping the user thrilled and entertained with an engaging gameplay. I'd probably say that this is pretty similar to agility with some minor differences. All right, I'll share my motivation behind this, why I started developing hyper-casual games. And like before all of this, like game development wasn't even like on my radar. And but after attending my first ever Flutter conference last February, I listened to the talk of Lucas Klingsbo, also known as the Flame guy, talk about Flame, and I was buzzing afterwards, almost as if I had taken 5 cups of coffee or something, because I just had to do something with all that energy that I had and excitement. And so a few months later, my very first game Orbit Guard. If you have met me in any of the other conferences, you probably know about it already, because I'm just going around to everyone, just telling about it. Hey, download this game and play it, and we had a lot of fun. But so yeah, my first ever hyper casual game, Orbit Guard, was born after that. So, what were the main challenges that I faced with game development? Obviously, the first one, I'll start like this. So the main one, I would say for me, the most challenging part is the design. So with every game that I make, besides writing code, probably making a good user interface is challenging. And I always have like a rough idea of what I want the game to look like, but I'm nowhere near the level where I could make my own illustrations and icons and so on. And often I get asked a question like, how did I create these illustrations? Did I draw them myself? The answer is, no, I did not. And my approach is pretty simple. I use whatever resources I can find for free. For example, like Figma community resources, just browsing for free icons and illustrations and so on. And after that, after like I have compiled a bunch of illustrations, bunch of icons, then I can start building the rest of the UI around those illustrations. And illustrations, in my games, illustrations essentially set the theme, but my job is to enhance it and make it overall like beautiful. As you can see in this example, I think it's pretty good, if I say so myself. Obviously it wouldn't be this year's Flutter talk if AI wasn't mentioned in any form. And I actually somewhat heavily rely on AI when it comes to game development, and I'm not ashamed of that, because in my games, basically all of the content you see is AI generated. And by content I mean names. For example, in this game, planets, planet names, descriptions, color schemes. AI is doing way better job than I ever could, just being honest, and it does it so well that I basically do not need to make any modifications afterwards. I could just extract it and import it in the code and see it in the game. Another challenging part is monetization. So I don't really want to delve into all of the monetization strategies too much, because honestly, that topic deserves like a separate presentation, separate talk. But with each game, I'm experimenting with different strategies. For example, in Orbit Guard, the only game that I currently have in production available, I use rewarded ads, as those are like the least intrusive type of the ads out there. And as for my games currently sitting like in a pipeline, awaiting release, I'm experimenting with different strategies on those games. And by doing so, I will be able to afterwards compare the different strategies, understand what works, what doesn't, and adjust other games accordingly to get like the maximum out of it. Another difficult one, actually for me, getting the game out there is easy if you compare it to marketing, to promoting the game afterwards. Because for someone like me, I'm still trying to figure out that, and it's kind of like rocket science for me. And of course, if you're like an influencer, a significant online presence would probably go a long way and make a huge difference. But as I said, my basically only promotion was going to a bunch of different conferences, going up to people and showing them my game and just having fun with it. All right, let's. These will be my tips from my experience. So basically, to get your feet wet, start with simple mechanics and physics. It will allow you to get familiar with the fundamentals of the framework if you decide to use a framework like Flame, for example. and the game development itself. So start small and simple. Okay, don't get me wrong. Visually appealing game interface will go a long way in terms of making users want to return to the game time and time again. But during development, using simple shapes and colors will speed up the entire development process significantly, allowing you to focus on gameplay and mechanics, and you can always change the UI afterwards. So this way you will get to the playable solution much faster. Excellent bundle of resources that offers full-scale game examples, integrations of ads, and in-app purchases, user authentications, and so much more. So Casual Game Toolkit by Flutter, check it out. This is a tip for you. Me personally, I like to do everything from scratch, and I like to get my hands dirty. Yeah, if you know what I mean. Also, I must admit, I'm a pretty lazy documentation reader whenever I have to implement anything. But with more experience, documentation is getting better and being written more complete, especially Flame documentation. A good documentation like that will be a huge help during development. And nowadays, I'm also relying on documentation of Flame as well. Obviously, let the AI work for you. As I said, content in my games is AI generated. It will significantly improve. It will significantly speed up development time, and essentially you will save a lot of time with this, and AI most likely will do a better job than you. Another one, real-world testing. It's an important part because you already know how the game works and how it needs to be played, but others won't, and it could turn out to be too easy or too difficult for other players. So it's important to test it with real people that haven't been part of development process, so it's possible to find the sweet spot of the difficulty and adjust it before the game is shipped to the stores. So essentially, if you listen to Manuel's talk yesterday, make the game accessible for everyone. So, okay, I shared my experience and some tips. I'll try to sprinkle some inspiration so you could maybe develop some games of your own. As I told you already about this, my first ever game, Orbit Guard, and it basically consists of one single action. You just tap, 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 and that's it. So it's super simple. I would say satisfying as well, and yeah, simple mechanics. Currently, sitting in a pipeline, there are a few more games like Clean Scoop, which I developed as a part of Flutter Global Gamers Challenge. Unfortunately, I didn't win, but it was a learning experience, and I'm grateful for that. And each game, I'm viewing each game that I develop as an opportunity to expand not only my knowledge and skills, but also make games more complex in terms of mechanics. So this is, I would probably say this is like another evolution of Orbit Guard, but with more complex mechanics and different gameplay. And the game that I'm currently working on, Space Shooter, as you can see, it's in a pretty rough shape because I'm not focusing on UI at all. But only on the gameplay and mechanics, and with each iteration, with each game, I'm experimenting and adding new gameplay features. And one last thing, so game development has had a great effect on my everyday work, and people around me have noticed my passion and the time I have invested in it, and they are like coming up to me and starting to ask questions like, how does this work? Was it difficult? Can we maybe use this in our work? And obviously my passion has sparked a curiosity, which would maybe lead to more opportunities for me and like-minded people to spend most of their daily work lives to build something they're passionate about. And yeah, I think we are good on time. that's it and that's all. Thank you. If you want, you can follow me on Twitter. But yeah, let's build some games. Thank you. If you have any questions, please be my guest.